Do you want to learn how to perfectly start in F1 22? Then forget about just a perfect launch, because this year around there's much more to learn. Welcome back to Overtake.gg and our short tutorial series on F1 22. Today it's all about that perfect race start. But to achieve a perfect launch from the line, we have to start prepping in the garage first. Because a good race start starts with your decision on your setup and driving aids. Let's have a look at traction control first. F1 22 offers 3 options to help your rear tires aid traction when stepping on the accelerator: full, medium and off. With full, spinning is almost impossible, no matter if you're doing the race start procedure or if you're already in a tight battle on track. Throttle control is no longer needed and you can step on the gas like your foot's made of concrete. Medium, as the name implies, will need you to do a little throttle control, while off, of course, will give you no aid at all with your traction. And will see you spinning if your pedal inputs can be expressed in binary code. And let me tell you, this decision is the most important when it comes to race starts. I can't recommend full, as this will greatly help you with your race starts, but will basically cost you lap time every time you try to accelerate out of a corner, leading you to miss out on all the fun the game has to offer. So medium or off, that's the big question. And in my opinion, you absolutely shouldn't be ashamed to use medium. Yes, if you learn to have the ultimate throttle control, off will be faster in many stages of the race. But F1 22 is really hard without this setting. It's almost like an extra hard mode that I don't even think is that realistic. But anyhow, choose wisely and I will tell you more about the benefits of each when we come to the different stages of the race start. Alright, last thing you should calibrate before you start is your race setup. Because this setting, the on-throttle differential, can help you greatly with your starts. It regulates how power is transmitted to the rear wheels. An unlocked differential will let the wheels spin at different speeds, which can help with overall traction, but is also harder to control and can lead you to binning your ride before the race even started. If you lock the diff, the rear tires will try and spin at the same speed, which will lead to less grip but overall more control over your acceleration process. I think a value of 65% is best for race starts, but feel free to fiddle around with the setting a bit. But enough of that, let's finally do the race start. Almost. Let's start with the formation lap first. When the formation lap starts, change your MFD screen to the tire overview. Here you can see the temperatures and how you are doing on heating up the tires. The perfect temperature window for your tires would be between 80 and 95 degrees, so you should aim to get your rubber in that frame without generating any tire wear. For your fronts, this can be achieved by weaving. Just make sure to 1. Not lose the car, and 2. Do it in a smooth motion to reduce the wear. Your rear tires can also be warmed up by doing some burnouts. Usually you would do that at the end of your formation lap. Slow down the car a little and get the first or second gear, then tap aggressively on the throttle to let your rear tire spin. Just make sure to not overdo this or you will end your race right here, especially when you are rocking TC off. Last tip before we park the car on the grid spot: while standing at the lights, your tires will cool down a bit. So try and get your tires to 90 to 95 degrees, not like me, before entering the starting formation. Because we don't want any understeer in lap 1, do we? Okay, parking the car in the right grid spot doesn't break the immersion any longer when cars go through each other. Cool stuff. Also, it's pretty easy to do. Just slow down to the most ridiculous speed in gear 1, let the car roll until the indicator flashes purple and step on the brakes. Easy. You can even technically aim to the outside of the track if you want to, as this could help with cutting to your opponent that will start alongside with you. But this is not easy to do, especially if you have set the traction control to off, because there's actually one big problem with the race starts in F1 22. And that is that performing a clean race start is really hard to do, especially with traction control turned off. and that the AI is super overpowered when it comes to the starts. But hey, never give up. Okay, but let's finally talk about the race start itself and the 3 phases you have to master. Phase 1 reaction, phase 2 the launch, and phase 3 the throttle control. Let's start at phase 1, the reaction. To have a perfect start, you need to react quickly. The lights will appear on your screen, and when they turn off, you'll allow to start racing. Anticipating when the lights turn off can lead to you having a marvelous start, but if you get it wrong, you'll collect a drive-through penalty. So how to master this phase? Just keep the clutch button pressed, focus on the lights, and when they turn off, release. No big secrets. Just wanted to tell you that you shouldn't speculate on when the lights go out. It's not worth it. Phase 2, the launch. To get the perfect launch from the line, we need to apply the right amount of throttle and keep the amount of acceleration steady until the car has jumped forward and you start to feel grip under the rear tires again. To do that, aim for 11,300 RPM. I know, what a number. What can help you are the rev lights. When you are approaching the right RPM, they will fluctuate between red and purple. Don't let the lights go out and don't overshoot into the limiter. Easy. And as said before, release the clutch at the right moment, let the car jump forward a bit and keep the same amount of throttle input until you feel the car gripping up at the rear again. With traction control off, this is the hardest part of the entire game. Nothing compares, this will need you to put some time in to get it right. Pro tip, the wheel spin effect will always push you to the left of the track so you can counter steer with a bit of turning slightly to the right at the start. And then comes phase 3, control. The last phase of a perfect race start is the control that we need to apply to the throttle from this point forward. Start applying throttle gradually and slowly after the rear tires have gripped up, following the launch. Shift up into second relatively early and keep the amount of throttle still under 30%. Don't let the second gear hit the rev limiter, but rather fly through the gears from this point onward until you apply full throttle in maybe 4th or 5th gear. The overtake button can help you with speed if the straight is a longer one, like at Barcelona for example, but only apply ERS as soon as you have 100% throttle input and feel that the car is completely under your control. Last tip for today, put some practice in. This starting process will need some time to get internalized. Start a random GP and after every start, restart the session and do it again. Here you can also test out if driving without traction control could be something you enjoy, as it makes starting in this game a real nightmare. And don't expect to jump any opponents at the start either, as the AI never fails a race start and always will have perfect launches and control. So if you don't lose your track position without TC enabled, you can pat yourself on the back as you've done everything right. And this is how you do it. Any questions? Any recommendations on what I should explain next in F1 22? Let me know in the comments down below. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and see you next time around. Cheers!